My name is Leonard Perez. My life was pretty much as a young kid was really not that kid that's born and was raised with a silver spoon, right? It was real hard, uh, very disorganized, unfunctional life. That's with my dad and my mom. So what I can remember as far as when I was younger is that all I can remember is that my dad used to drink 24/7, you know, Monday through Sunday, knock down the doors, beat down my mom like she was a sandbag. I was so young and I was so traumatized that I remember that I used to lay back in my bedroom and I would smell the dude. I would smell my dad that he's walking onto the sidewalk where we live at. And I used to say to myself, he's here. And when I used to say that word, that door was knocking down. Looking honestly, I was looking for somebody to pay attention to me, talk to me, tell me everything's going to be all right. This is when I started growing up. I remember I was like probably 14 years old. You know, I wanted to join a gang. I used my uncle used to take me to the park, Normandy Park, to kick it with his homies because there was a lot of recreation there. Like boxing, basketball, baseball, right there in Normandy Park. And I used to just see all these older dudes all sleep down, tack back, doing bar, working out. And that shit like, man, I want to be that dude. You know what I mean? But I was still young. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But I needed, and then I see how they take care of each other. They like, what's up, homie, and all that. And I'm like, damn, I wanna be like that. That one gang. Me, I wanted to join the gang because I wanted a family. I wanted somebody to say everything's gonna be all right, homie. And and this is where my life as a gangbanger started. I um I remember I ran into this dude ran up to me, right? I was 15 years old, and he just hit me up, and he told me he was from Crazy Riders, and I just looked at him. He was dressed up not like a gangbanger. That's why I smiled at him. He was dressed up back in the 80s in the 79. It was more like a disco thing, you know what I mean? So I was just looking at him. So is this guy serious, man? I looked at him. This motherfucker don't look like no fucking gangbanger. But I told him I ain't from nowhere, man. You know what I mean? He goes, well, hey, you want to be some Crazy Riders? And I looked at him and I thought he was like, I thought Crazy Riders was like a disco thing, group thing, go dance disco at the clubs. The way he was dressed. He had this like whacked off fucking colorful shirt on and shit. His pants in the bottom, he had them all tied up like little small. I mean, he had some freaky ass fucking shoes, like dancing shoes. I'm like, damn. Well, I said, nah, man. But he goes, well, you know what? Uh, I'll invite you to a party. The party was going to be like 2 blocks away from where I was. I went to the party, and I seen in the party they were drinking, right? They were smoking some cigarettes called Benson's and something, long ass cigarettes. I'm like, man, these guys are, I said, these guys are really fucking gangbangers, man. They look all fucking weird. There was a few, that hitting were not dressed as disco kids, right? They were just dressed normal, but they had that little haircut right here, and little back here all long and shit. That was back in the 80s, and I'm like, okay, these other guys over here, they're from the hood. They look more quiet. And then the guy introduced me to the guy that created the neighborhood, that brought the founder. It was my homeboy, Manny, rest in peace. You know what I mean? Him and his 3 brothers uh, brought this gang up. The neighborhood Crazy Riders. And I told him. He said, "Which one be from a hood home, from a neighborhood?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. All right." I said yes, and I was down, and I was going to stay with them to life, until the wheels fall off. You know what I mean? Because I was looking for a family, and What I noticed, I found the family on the streets than in the house. You know what I'm saying? And they tried to jump me in. They were gonna jump me in with my homeboy Woody. You know, he's still around. We chat on what's up. You know, his name is Big Woody. Some big fat dude from Honduras, right? But I don't know. The dude say, nah, man, I'm not gonna get down just me and him a one on one. So I'm like, I was desperate. I'm like, all right, what's going on, man? Who's gonna jump me in? You know? And the dude, the homo man, he said, nah, we're all gonna work. Six of us are gonna jump in 13 minutes, 13 seconds. They got down, boom, boom. They told me what you want us to call you. And I told them, you guys can call me Big Nika. You know, so my uncle, well, that's his Placaso in the Playboy gang, in the Playboy neighborhood, right? I was young still, and it was gonna be my first time going in the fucking rumble. You know what I mean? I fucking sharpened up a fucking fierro, a kitchen, one of my mom's kitchens, a knife, beep, beep, got a chain, big old chain with a lock. I said, let's go. You know what I mean? We had one fucking pistol, and this pistol, I don't know where it came from. You know what I mean? It was a big one. I don't know if you guys, when you seen Batman, when the Penguin had that big old fucking gun, and it had a 380 bullet in it, and it was just one shot. You know what I mean? And we took it, and we only had one bullet at that moment. And we ain't had no box of them bullets. It was our first time we wanted to try it out. You know what I mean? So we went to Easy Riders. Easy Riders is a couple blocks away from us. There's a gas station in the little hill with dirt, and then we go to this big old parking lot. They used to kick it right there, right? We got down with them. We shot one time for the homeboy. They shot. I guess he was scared. He shot up in the air. He even shot straight at them. You know what I mean? But it's all right. We got down with them. We threw bottles. We threw rocks and shit. We got one of them. We beat them down, and that was it. It was our squash. We went back to the hood back then. It was fun, man. I mean, it was so fun that I found a family there. And I remember my homeboy, one of my homeboys, rest in peace, Manny. He told me, "Hey, Nika, you want to go? You want to help me out and go rob a car?" So I told my homeboy, "Yeah, let's go, make some money." So what we did was I went to Pee Wee's store. I don't know if it still exists out there. We bought a one of those dent pullers, right? We told him we got to buy the size of the screw to pop the door open. You know what I mean? We did all that shit. I had all that shit in the bag. Like that was like that movie 60 seconds and shit like that. You know what I mean? With uh I felt like that. When I see that movie, man, once in a great while, I'm like, damn, that was me when I was young. I remember the first time I went to jail. This Mayate, right, got crazy with my sister. You know what I mean? So I went to Grand High School and I pistol whipped that motherfucker. I went into school. I went into school with the pistol. That's my first time in LA County Jail. You know what I mean? That shit was crazy, right? They gave me 3 years, 3 years, right? This was back in '87, and I ended up going to Donovan. They send you a little piece of paper, right, telling you paroling the next day. They roll your shit up. So I got my shit. I walked out. Got me on the bus. Got me on the van. Took me to the bus station. Got my money and went home. Right. Got to a Greyhound station in downtown. My wife went to pick me up. Well, we got on the freeway. Her dad got on the freeway. Where the fuck we going? Oh, we don't live in LA no more. We live in Palmdale. Like Palmdale. Fuck is Palmdale at? The high desert. We drove, bro. We went all the way over there. I wanted to go to LA, right? I see that Lancaster was fucking boring, so I did my first robbery there, right? This youngster talking about he has a pistol, and I told the youngster, "What you want to do with that pistol, man? Let's do a robbery, right?" I said, "All right." So we went and did a carjack, but he didn't. I was he pointed the gun at the vodka, the dude, the black dude, right? But it was like pointing it to him too far fucking away.
and I see his hand was shaking. So I grabbed the gun, right? And I got closer to the dude. He's a black man. I got closer to him, and I put the pistol in his head. And I said, "Give me the fucking keys, dude." Right? And he gave me the keys, and I pushed him on the floor, and I got in the truck and bounced. Took his wallet. We went to San Fernando Valley with his credit card. And we bought all kinds of fucking clothes, man. I'm serious. We bought clothes like crazy. Went to his homeboy's house, gave him some clothes, bought me some threads, right? And I kept his gun. You know what I mean? He said, "You're gonna use this gun?" He goes, "Nah." So one day I was driving my ride, and I was running out of gas, right? And I seen this donut shop, and I said, I ain't got no money. I go into the donut shop, and the homeboy, the homeboy that was with me, he stands on the corner, on the side, on the door, right? And I look up, and I told him in Spanish, because it was a white girl and gonna give me some water. I asked her for some water. Hey, there's a camera there, Holmes. The dot is just a little red dot. It's not on, Holmes. Don't trip, right? But they cannot see him. So baby turned around with the water, and I already had the gun on her. I said, "Give me your money, man." She gave me, "Don't shoot me, no, 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 just give me the money." And she had a nice little chain. I yanked their chain. I'm taking the chain. Right? So I went. He spoke to the judge and shit, right? And the judge turned around and run the concurrent. Except for that, he ended up giving me 11 years. You know, okay, I'll sign. Let's go. I got 11 years. One day, I was talking to my old lady. I'm, reminiscing on the phone, making love to her on the phone and shit, like we all do nowadays, on the phone. And this vato from up from the Bay Area, he rushed me, man. He just got crazy, and you're like, I had the phone here, and he looked at me and he goes, "Get off the phone," and he yanked the cable, right, and it fell and it hit the wall. But I looked up, the guard in the tower, he didn't look, he wasn't looking. So I grabbed it and I tried to swing at him. I swung at him in the head. He backed up. Then he started yelling crazy, like, "What's up, fool?" I like, damn. I grabbed, I told my baby, "Listen, babe, I'm gonna hang up." You know what I mean? "What's wrong? What's good?" I'm gonna hang up. Boom. I go, "What's up with you, dude?" He goes, "What, fool? You screwed my son, knock your ass out, boom, boom." So they set it up. We went inside the cell down, right? We went to his cell, right? Cells are small, homeboy. They have the little fucking steel thing to put your clothes on. Then they have a little table and a stool, and then the bunk. You know what I mean? So it's real small. You're gonna have to get down just right here, straight up. So we went inside, right? And he swinged at me. I swing back at him, but then all of a sudden I just swing right back. He swinging me. I backed up. I swing. I dropped him. So what he fucked up was that he dropped. And he dropped under the bunk. You know what I mean? On the bunk that he's at. So when I kneeled down and I started popping on him, dog. Boom, boom, and I started slamming him with my fucking feet and I busted his face, right? So he said, "That's doable. No more." I let him back. I let him get up. He got up, and then I got him again, and I got him in the corner where the table and the top thing where you put your shit at. He was there, and I was just beating the fuck out of him. Right, my hands was full of blood already and shit. So he said, "No, that's doable, youngster. That's it." So I walked out, but he has a stereo, a radio. We had radios back in the days with I don't know what they have now, with a seat with a cassette on the side, with a like a Walkman. You know what I mean? So he like yanked the antenna from there, right? And he got me in the back, onto my neck. He stabbed me there, and I just like turned around, but then the homeboy from Echo Park yanked me out, right? And then the homeboy from Echo Park hit him, to put him right back in, put him out, knocked him out. And no less than a week, 3 weeks after that, a riot jumped off. You know, a riot jumped off. I got caught in the riot, got a fucking mayate, booked them, got them. And, they didn't catch me with the fierro, so they couldn't. They thought it was blood for beating somebody down, or was I stabbed somebody? But I'm not the only one that had the fierro. There was a few. It was the paisas and the sureños were going on top of the fucking mayates. You know, it was crazy. Thing was, I ended up going back to the oil, right? Um, I did some time in Corcoran. From Corcoran, I left from Corcoran because we got down with the norteños there, right? I ended up in California, did my time there. By that time, I was already about to get out. I paroled in 1998, right? From prison on April the 13th, and I left the United States on September 1998 and came to Nicaragua. And from there on, I've been here for going on 28 years. The judge deported me for 10 years with a possibility of re-entry to the United States on a visa, right? When I got here, it was a whole different world. I was fucking honestly scared, you know. I didn't know the language or the culture. All I know that I grew up, I was raised, I was born here. That was it. And it was crazy. I never drank because I didn't want to be like my dad. But just the reason that I was here, that I felt lost, that I felt that this wasn't my place, you know, I started drinking and I started using dope again, you know. I ended up drinking so much and started using dope that I ended up in the streets again. But it's not the same as living in the streets in LA because you have options over there where you can make money real quick and sell dope at a corner and buy and get yourself an apartment and a room where you can sleep for 24 hours. Here they don't got those options, right? And if you sell, you're gonna sell, but you have to have your own house to sell. And I didn't have those options either. And I wasn't gonna do it in front of my grandparents' house. So I just ended up becoming an alcoholic that I ended up getting sick. I had a brain stroke, right? All I remember was that I woke up the next day, my ear was full of blood. I couldn't see, I couldn't talk, and I couldn't walk. The woman that's my wife now, she had the option or either walk away and leave me or stand by my side until the wheels fall off. And that really surprised me. You don't find women like that no more in life. I can go back in time. I most definitely won't do what I did now. I think I would choose a better life. I would find help because of the way of my life was with my dad being an alcoholic and beating down. You know, I probably would not choose to become a gangbanger. You know, and become something better, something productive in the states. If I would have went back, finished my high school, because I really wanted to become a Marine when I was out there. You know, and be adopted by the Marines for the rest of my life until I die. But that didn't happen. But if I could bring back time, I would do it this time, you know? And what I can say to youngsters nowadays is that gangs and drugs, it's just a Russian and roulette life, man. And the only ones that suffer is your parents, your family, yourself. You're killing yourself because you're going to be locked up for a very long time. And it doesn't matter how much balls you got or, strong you can be, you have feelings. And you break down in tears alone when nobody can see you in the fucking cell. And you'll be regret what you did. I don't regret what I did because I learned from it, and I learned from it. I would recommend whoever's listening to this, parents, older guys like me, who's been there, to help out the youngsters, man. Because the youngsters out there, what I know, what I see on social media, you know, they're out there killing kids. They're out there using that crazy drug now.
Help them out, get them out. I know there are people out there helping youngsters getting them out of drugs and gangs. You know, it's. I mean, if I could, I wish I can, but I'm here. I can't go back to help and speak. You know, but maybe this video can help out a few other youngsters if they think, you know, that what I say is worth it. You know, maybe they say, nah, fuck that dude's crazy. You know, but hey, I don't care. It's not me that I'm not the one that's gonna suffer. I already suffered. You know what I mean? I already paid my consequences. So yeah, just hope this video helps out to people, man, young kids out there.